Great. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining me. My name's Anthony, and I'm not a lifeguard, or I'm a beach goer, not that regular, but I'm the IT manager. And for my sins, I happened to be handed a Commonwealth grant to do a smart beach project, which we then took and did a whole lot of technology things. So we came at it very much as a test bed project to see how some technology would work in our environment and at the coast, and work with our lifeguards to see what they wanted and how we could join up with them to deliver a better experience for our residents. So on the screen here, you'll see one of our kiosks. This is taken very early in the morning down at Coogee. And so the vision of our project was to basically have a great day at the beach. And in my presentation today, I'll talk about not just some of the stuff to do with the actual sand and water environment, but what we find with our lifeguard service is they're representatives of council. They're staff that are on site, so they get drawn into a lot of things that happen, I guess, behind the water in the park and the reserve and lost property and all these other things. So we've done a lot of thinking about how we can optimize the journey for a person at the beach, but also how we can reduce the load on our lifeguards so they can focus on actually the water and aquatic safety, because they're not really customer service representatives. They are, but they're not. That's not what they're mainly there for. So there's Coogee. That's from a couple of weeks ago. We've had a Pride Rainbow put in for Mardi Gras, which was last weekend here in Sydney. So pretty quiet day there at Coogee. Managing a project like this was really difficult. It was a whole lot of stakeholders across internal council people. So my team, transport, civil projects, rangers, public safety and aquatic services, they actually run the lifeguards. Then a cast of thousands of suppliers. Managing a project like this is very difficult when you don't actually have a specific set of suppliers that say, we can give you a smart beach solution. So we kept trying to find different people that could do different things. And we sort of, some people moved up and got more work. Some people we sort of said, thanks, but we want to move on. So we also had a very interested group of people in the precinct. So the Coogee precinct, which includes some councillors as well. First thing we did, which was, one thing I'll just say about Coogee for us is that we had dark fibre connectivity to the beach. Hearing a lot of the other presentations today, connectivity is a massive challenge for everyone. We're fortunate in that Coogee and Maroubra Beach for the south are both permanently staffed locations for council. So we'd put the backhaul infrastructure in to do that. But I made myself really popular with the parks guys digging the beach and the reserve up multiple times to put infrastructure in. So the first thing we did is we put in some beach cameras for the public. These we now have a big network of across all of our beaches. The benefit of a beach camera from COVID is that people could just get a feel for how busy the beach was. COVID really overlaid the journey that we're on with this project. So these are available on our website. And interestingly enough, Coogee is a local Aboriginal word for kuja, which means smelly place, owing to the amount of seaweed that collect on the beach. And you can see from today's beach camera, which was taken only a few minutes ago, that there is certainly living up to its name. So we also have not just these cameras for the public, which are deliberately low resolution. We have high performance cameras that our lifeguards use. So Coogee has a number of blind spots from the lifeguard station, particularly up the far end around Wiley's Bars at the south end is a blind spot as well. So we actually have 3 overlapping camera systems that cover this area that the lifeguards can use. They've got a 2-kilometre zoom, pan tilt zoom service that they can zoom right out to Wedding Cake Island, which is out in the bay, and they can use those cameras. But what we've really found from our project is how useful this is at our unpatrolled beaches. So of our dozen beaches, 3 of them are patrolled, 1 of them seasonal, the other 2 are patrolled all year round. So we've now got a network based on the investment we put into the smart beach system at Coogee. We now have a network. So if you look across here, we've got Malabar Beach, we've got Maroubra Beach, we've got Little Bay, we've got Clovelly, we've got Frenchman's Bay and Kongwong and Little Kongwong. So our lifeguards can see these cameras from Maroubra and Coogee stations. And from a response perspective, they can now jump on a jet ski and get to one of the other unstaffed beaches very quickly by using the cameras. And they're now a critical tool for us. It's not cheap to do this civil works, but it's a long-term investment to move forward with our beaches. And it's cheaper than putting staff at all of the beaches as well. So here's our lifeguards in the lifeguard station at Coogee using the cameras. And that's what the camera infrastructure will look like at the beach. So what we do, we leverage the cameras to do both the public and the internal use. They're separate cameras, but the infrastructure costs we can split between the two different roles. The big thing that we did at Coogee, which was a big data integration project, was the public beach displays. So these are installed at 4 locations at Coogee, and they're double-sided. One of them single-sided, they're double-sided as in the main. And what they do is they've got 2 sets of information. So as you approach the water from the bus stop or the car park, you'll see a number of aquatic and beach safety messages. As you leave the facility, or if you're walking along the promenade on the other side, you'll get a lot of information about the precinct. And again, that's to try and reduce the number of, I guess, what you call repetitive questions that our lifeguards receive. So people want to know, where are the BBQs? Where are the public toilets? These public toilets are full. Is there another public toilet? Is there somewhere I can get some sunscreen? Can I use the Wi-Fi? How do I do that? A lot of that information's on the back of the screen to reduce that impact on the lifeguards so they can focus on what they're doing. So what we did with these, this is developed by a Sydney company called Pecklet, and we installed a weather station at Coogee as a test of smart city technology. And so what we do with that data is that we mash up from different sources. What we found is that the weather in Coogee is very different. In Sydney, the main one you get from a weather station's Observatory Hill, which is several kilometres inland and bears no reflection of the weather actually at Coogee. So we put in all these data sources. We've got UV levels, we've got air quality, we've got water pollution probability, which we actually source from Environment New South Wales. We get a lot of information from other sources. The other thing we do is the lifeguards prepare a daily report on an iPad. And so we pull that content through and push it into this system. The lifeguards can change RIP conditions and blue bottles. Basically, it's replicating some of the signage that you'd see down on the sand in a digital format. And once it's in digital format, we can reuse it for other purposes. We can push it to our website, and you'll see some of the other things we do with the data later on. It has a beach closed mode. I don't have a great photo of this, but you can see in the background the reason why the beach is closed. So that means the lifeguards can change that on their iPad to be a beach closed condition without just a simple slider. That replaces all of the other messages with just a consistent brand, and that pushes through to all of our services, all of our public website and things like that, so you can see the beach conditions before you arrive at the beach. We did co-opt the signage for social distancing and hearing some of the stuff about people counting. We're a partner with Unleashed as well. So we are using the cameras at Coogee to do people counting. And what we've done is on our website, we can now feed through the analytics information to basically make an assessment of is this a beach crowded or not. And you can see down the bottom here, we've got our COVID crowd capacity graphics that we can push through. At the moment, the weather, this has been a very cool summer in Sydney, so we haven't really had to use it in anger, but certainly back in March last year, this is the mayor with all 5 TV networks here. So we co-opted it to put social distancing messaging up and beach closed messaging, which was when we had the beach permanently closed. It wasn't related to the water conditions, it was a COVID measure. So COVID, as I said, COVID has overlaid some of our projects. This is the signage that we've got from the amenities, and it's about managing the journey at the beach. So we have lockers, Wi-Fi, barbecues. We do people counting in our amenities, so we can spread people between 2 sets of amenities that we've got. We've also now got working rideshare, so we can tell you the average wait time for an Uber or an Ola. And we also do some stuff around waste and parking as well. And this is bus information from Transport for New South Wales up the top. So the idea is to reduce a lot of the silly questions that lifeguards get by giving this information to people. And obviously we can then publish this out through our website as well. One of the things we had at our beach that was causing a lot of grief for our lifeguards was lockers. They're all pin based and they jam, and people had to go and get the lifeguards to come and unlock the lockers. So now we have a managed service. This is a startup at UNSW. So working with the university, and they commercialized a locker design. They came to me with a set of lockers that didn't have any way for me to put my mobile phone in it. I said, hey, this is a good idea, but can you redesign it so I could put my phone inside the locker? And they're like, yeah, okay. And they came back with the pin-based system, and they've now won several contracts off the back of it because it's a big model for aquatic centres and things like that. So we had 70 lockers at the beach, and they were causing enormous grief for our lifeguards. So we've done that as a part of the project. Sunscreen is a big request from our lifeguards. We're going through couple of $1,000s worth of sunscreen a year. So we now have a vending machine to do that. And that's another New South Wales based company that we've bought that through, Sunscreen Stations Australia, and it's tap to go. So, but what we do is we reinforce that UV message combined with the sunscreen. So when the UV gets high, the messaging changes to emphasize the role of the go get sunscreen. We also do some stuff with barbecues. This is more just for general interest, some of the smart technology, because beaches are more of a precinct model than a just the water. So we have a lot of issues with crowding around barbecues, so we can shut the barbecues on and off. There's some kind of cool stuff that we can do with them. We can also monitor their health, and if they're not cooking properly, I had no idea that barbecues were a thing from a smart cities perspective until recently. We do smart parking. A lot of this is basically managing the journey at the beach, because it's what we found is that people who are stressed and things like that, we think it's better to provide a better experience. They're more likely to pay attention to some of our other messaging if they're not fighting for cars and things like that. It's also, we had a second grant to do this, and we use vehicle counting through cameras. So that was a pilot of that technology for us. So similar to what we're doing with people counting, we're doing vehicle counting as well. And eventually the idea is we'll bring all these data sources together. And we've got Transportway finding smart bus stops that show in real time bus approach times, bus capacities, because the transport task out of Coogee is quite massive in an afternoon in summer. We also occasionally get the backpacker contingent have 10,000 people turn up unexpectedly, as they did Christmas a few years ago. So managing the transport task out of Coogee is really important for us. And the ultimate objective of this is that we're now building an open data portal, which has all the historical sample data that we have from all of our weather stations, our car parks. So the next stage of this project would be to start looking at how all this data can inform predictive modeling for resourcing. So we can go, this is what the vehicles look like, this is what the public transport looks like, this is what the weather conditions look like, and then we can start helping to roster our surge capacity predictively. And that's the longer term objective of what we're doing through the project. So that's Randwick's Smart Beach and Smart Community Engagement. So this is all available on our website, and I'm happy to take any questions.